Hi there. Today we're going to explore the plot of the 2019 film 4x4. The film begins by showing a city district where everything is literally covered in surveillance cameras and which is maximally protected from thieves. We see a guy. After glancing around, he approaches a car and easily breaks into it using a tennis ball. He climbs into the car and pulls out the stereo. Having finished his dirty work, he's about to leave the car, but the doors won't open. Every door in the car is locked, including the trunk. Without thinking for long and starting to panic, he decides to smash the window, but it doesn't work. Even the keys he finds in the car don't help. After taking apart the door, he sees that behind it is solid metal, just like on all other sides. He has only one option left, to shoot with the gun he brought with him. But even the bullet can't damage the windshield, and instead, it ricochets and hits him in the leg. After bandaging the wound, he sees a girl walking by. She looks at the car window but doesn't see the man sitting inside. He starts knocking on the glass and yelling, but she doesn't hear him. He pulls out his phone, but it immediately dies. He screams and drinks the remaining drops of his Pepsi. At night, the wound hurts badly. On top of that, an annoying cricket won't let him sleep. He raises his hand to kill it, but then decides not to. In the morning, he wakes up tormented by thirst, but there's no water left in the bottle, just a few drops of condensation on the glass. He turns on the radio and relaxes a little. Then he gets to work trying to break through the metal layer of the door. But the music is interrupted by a phone call. It's the car's owner. He tells the unlucky thief that his car is a bunker on wheels, fully remotely controlled. No one can hear him. The car is completely armored, and now the thief is under total control. The man on the phone tells a bit about himself. He's a widower, how old he is, and then asks the question, "What would you do if you caught your son stealing?" The thief starts begging for water, says it's hot, loses his temper, and begins threatening the man and his family. The car owner hangs up, and suddenly the air conditioner turns on. At first, it's a real salvation from the heat, but the joy doesn't last long, because soon the car turns into a freezer. The AC won't stop blowing cold air. He manages to block the vents, but it doesn't help much. Eventually, the air conditioner shuts off, and the car owner calls again. He repeats the same question, "What would you do if you caught your son stealing?" Then adds that if he gives the correct answer, he'll give him some water. The thief replies that he would slap his son and take him to the police. But no, that answer is completely wrong. He's your son. He's learning by example from you, the man says. He shares a few stories from his life, how both he and his relatives have been robbed many times. He also says he's a doctor, then hangs up. Later we learn that he is an obstetrician. After spending some time in the car, a police car drives by and stops nearby. The guy starts yelling and banging with all his strength, but the officer just writes a parking ticket and walks away. In the next call, the car owner asks for his passport information in exchange for water. The guy gives it. His name is Ciro. The doctor then tells him that the water is in the rear windshield washer tank. After drinking the washer fluid, a painful wait in uncertainty begins. In the morning, he once again tries to break the door, but during the next phone call, he says he has a fever and asks what to do. The doctor asks him to describe the wound and says it looks really bad. He turns on the car's heater and starts talking about how great his own morning has been, then suddenly reveals that he has a tumor and only 1 year left to live. Over time, Ciro becomes completely famished. He eats a piece of paper. He sees two guys trying to break into the car, but they don't have time. They are chased off by local residents who then begin to brutally beat one of the guys. They act like beasts toward a random guy who didn't even have time to do anything. At night, Ciro decides to eat his pet cricket, but can't bring himself to do it. Out of boredom, he starts talking to it just to keep himself from falling into despair. In their next conversation, the doctor again mocks him, describing his breakfast, but then something distracts him. When he returns to the call, he says he's in a good mood and tells Ciro there's a chocolate bar under the pedal. Ciro devours it in a single bite, then begins watching people on the street and notices that everyone is so terrified they're constantly on edge. After some time, he manages to make a small hole, but it's still not enough to be heard. He releases the cricket to freedom and says goodbye to it. The doctor then tells him he visited his wife and son and gave them money to leave town. Ciro asks to see his son, but the doctor replies that he studied his biography. Turns out Ciro has multiple deaths on his conscience and a prison sentence. At night, with nothing else to do, he repeatedly presses the engine start button, and at one point, the car actually starts. He manages to engage only the reverse gear, and after gaining speed, he crashes into a pole. The rear window shatters, and he manages to get out. The first thing he does is walk into a store and eat to his heart's content. A security guard approaches him and starts hassling him. Ciro pulls out a gun and shoots him, but it turns out to be a dream. Completely hopeless, he decides to end it all. But the doctor interrupts him. When he pulls the trigger, the gun doesn't fire. Then the doctor says, "Look at me." He's arrived and sits down in the car with him. The doctor brings him a gift and treats his wound, saying that it will all pass. He takes Ciro's gun and places it in plain sight. The doc answers a phone call and turns away. Ciro takes advantage of the moment and shoots him. Getting out of the car, he starts firing the gun to get anyone to come outside. But the doctor was only lightly wounded. He drags Ciro back. Nearby, there's a female police officer. The doctor doesn't have time to pull him fully back into the car, so he takes the guy hostage. The police arrive and surround the area. Residents come out of their homes. Many are shouting for the doctor to finish Ciro off, but there are also those demanding he let him go, saying he's just a man like everyone else. The police call in a negotiator. He begins explaining to the doctor why he's wrong, but the doctor is convinced. Police and lawyers in this world are all corrupt. There is no justice. And if he lets the guy go now, he'll be released the very next day. He decides to take justice into his own hands. After some time, the negotiator manages to get through to him, and the doctor agrees. Ciro is immediately placed in a police car. The doctor, with a sly smile, opens the car door and leaves a phone with a timer on the roof. He blows himself up, creating a public outcry. We hear snippets from the news, saying that the doctor has once again raised the issue of public safety across the country, and the guy, Ciro, will be released in just a few hours. The cricket Ciro had set free is eaten by a bird. The doctor didn't change anything. This is where the film ends. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.